What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the stream. And today for you, what I got is a little bit of a tutorial video on how to play NCAA basketball on 2K. Now, I know it's late in the 2K season, but me personally, I'm not going to get 2K24. I might not get 2K25. It just kind of depends on how I'm feeling, but I'm definitely not getting 24. So what I wanted to do is kind of set up myself up a way to play in the future. Something that I think will be fun to play for another year or two. And this is not going to require any new rosters or game updates or anything like that. You just keep playing on this, save yourself, $76 at this point, whatever. Anyways, I have uploaded a scenario to the 2K share called NCAA 2K. You'll see it from Vitaline 10, and you see there's 36 teams with completely generated players and 4 stats. So let me take you into the setup I already have going. And so what's pretty cool, first thing I want to do is make sure I turn off my auto save real quick because I want to make sure I save the spot. But we're playing on 10-minute quarters and with 10-minute sim quarter length. So that'd be like 20-minute halves, and then we have a single elimination knockout. I wish we could make more people make the playoffs, but unfortunately we can't do that. I'm going to take you through some of the ways that you need, just some of the small little considerations you guys need to take to make this work. So you see I have 36 different teams. All of them are real colleges. I kind of picked some teams because, a lot of people picked them, and I picked a few teams at random. Like I threw FAU in here, and you saw Loyola was in here. I have UNLV and Boise State in there too. So you could kind of get the feeling of like some like mid-major programs in there. Obviously, you can change any of these teams. All these players are going to be computer generated at this point. What I did is I actually took the NCAA roster that had been created, the big one, and actually simmed 4 years in the future. That way you can generate stats. And also, I didn't want to play with the current players in the college basketball world. I wanted to kind of create my own universe. So here what I want to show you is just to take you to the past champions. So the 4 years here. So Tennessee won the first championship, and then Duke with that insane recruiting class because most of them did not leave school. They all stayed in based off of the way that I set this up. They won 3 straight titles. Now they've kind of come back down to earth now because that insane recruiting class has all graduated. So this should be a little bit more of like a evened out save. So I'll just show you the rosters here real quick. You see all these people are, randomly generated, and you see the different, levels of abilities between all of these teams. You see some 18-year-olds on this. I'll let you guys know how to make sure you do that. You'll want to use this save exactly as set up. I got all of the rule changes and my league settings set up to where it should kind of play a little bit like college basketball, or at least as close as you can possibly get. All you'll need to update is whatever, in-game sliders you like to use. And as you see, actually, if you took a peek at the Loyola Ramblers there, that's actually going to be the worst team in this, save. So if you're really in the mood for like doing like a rebuild or something like that, Loyola is probably going to be the team you choose, but you can choose whatever team you want. Also, you can update any of these teams just by going to relocation and doing team branding or 2K shared design. So if you want a new team in here, just go ahead. I set up the divisions, and that's why you might see some random teams in here, but I set up the divisions to kind of be like a little bit set up to where like, oh yeah, these teams are actually kind of from the Pacific region. The most difficult one was the Northwest because there's not a lot of teams in the Northwest that are like notable. So that's why you're going to see like a Wyoming and a Boise State here. Because like, oh, well, I mean, those are kind of notable teams. Wyoming had a couple of stars this year. So, but you could change these teams. You don't have to care about the Northwest thing, but that's the way I set it up. Okay, so now that I've gone through that, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show, well, one thing I want to mention, prospect scouting. So I actually have the draft class set at 100 for quality. What I like to do is I actually like to save the draft class, which I actually will do right now because I have to actually edit myself. And then what I do is I just try to edit it a little bit. I don't really change potentials. I just try to change the overalls of everybody. I try to make the best player in the draft about an 84 overall, roughly around there. You can kind of play with it as you please. You can just leave it as it is. Usually the best player is going to be about like an 79 to like an 81 overall. So the freshmen are a little bit underrated in comparison to what real college basketball is. So that's up to your discretion. So, all right, let's sim through the season here really fast. There's only about, I think, like 36 games is what the option was. So, oh my God, I'm finally simming, and North Carolina's good. I don't know what it has been about this simulation I've been doing, but North Carolina and Kentucky have been awful, even though their rosters have been really good. So that's really interesting to see them finally be like awesome. So yeah, every team plays about like 36-ish games. I can't remember the exact number of what it is. So pretty similar to what a college basketball season will look like. Obviously, trades have been turned off. You'll want to keep 30-team control on, or 36-team control on, actually, because if you don't, then the computer teams will start doing their own joints, and you don't want that to happen. Okay, so North Carolina, very impressive. So what I do here, now that you've reached this screen, I'm going to write down all the names of MVP, not Rookie of the Year. MVP was 10 points and 7. Wow, that's weird. I wrote down 6 Man of the Year. I write down Defensive Player of the Year. And I don't write down this guy. I don't remember if I write down this. This will be up to your discretion if you want to write down Most Improved Player. Okay. And then what I do is I write down all the names of the first team, second team, and third team All-NBAs, because those guys are all guys I'm going to make go pro, in quotes. So I'll show you how to do that in a second and see the insane contracts that these guys have. I turned salary cap off, and it did something to the contracts. Don't worry about those numbers. They don't mean anything. So anyways, that's that. Now we're in the playoffs. Now it's a single elimination tournament. Let's go see, actually, no, just a general curiosity. What did North Carolina finish? Wow, 22-3. Okay, that's the best that they've ever done. What did Kentucky do? Maybe Kentucky still sucks. Yeah, Kentucky. I don't know why Kentucky has sucked this entire thing. Maybe you guys could take over Kentucky to figure out what happens. Okay, so let's sim the playoffs here real quick, and it's going to tell me all these guys are eliminated. And wow, UCLA took down FAU. So FAU is actually halfway decent in this save, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in your guys. So anyways, now that that's all done, we will go, and actually what shows up here is I have a tournament for the number 1 pick. I will talk about that in a minute, but let's go over to here. So what I'm going to do here is your guys that have 0 contract left, those are your graduating seniors. So what you'll want to do is you'll actually want to torch their rating. So what I do is I go all the way down to 50 overall. Because that way, because I tried putting the age up, they don't retire for some reason, even if you put them up to 40 years old. So this is how I do it. Now, let's say, I know Temple didn't win anything necessarily, but let's just say he did. I'll do the same thing for Temple. Say he was an MVP or a first-team All-NBA, whatever. Now, the thing I do with Temple is now that because he still has the 1 year on the contract left, I'll literally just release him to free agency. So I will do that for all 36 teams in the league. And that'll be like your graduating seniors, you're leaving. I haven't quite worked out a way to do transfers yet. Leave that up to you guys. I'm going to make a thread on Operation Sports, and then maybe I'll update it with some information on how to do that. Obviously, that could be up to your discretion because, obviously the transfer portal is crazy in today's college basketball world, so that'd be kind of interesting. I also didn't do it during the 4 years because it was way too much work to do as well. So now that you're kind of set up, you can do it in your own ways. Okay, so the road to number 1 pick is important in this sense. So let's just go through there real quick, and it's going to be, wow, Jayhawks. So the way that I do this is actually Jayhawks will not have the first overall pick. What the pick the Jayhawks will have is actually pick 17. So the way that I set it up is you get rewarded for winning. So the champion of the league is going to have the first overall pick. And then from there, it's just going to be like, so whoever has the 36th draft pick right now, that's who's going to have the first draft pick. 35th has second, 34th has third, and so on and so forth, until you've gotten through the first 16 teams. Those are all the playoff teams. Then you switch to this, where the Jayhawks will have the first, the Hoosiers will have the second, so on and so forth. So the team that will actually have the last pick will be Arizona State because they were the 20th seed and they lost in this tournament. So that's kind of how I shake out recruiting, and then I don't touch the second round pick. So that's kind of how you generate a little bit of the randomness, and then you just let the draft kind of go as is. So let's go to the NBA draft. I'm not going to do it right now because it takes a few minutes to do. So let's go to rookie signings. And so that's kind of how you just let the draft kind of play out. And that's how the recruiting, quote unquote, kind of will work. One thing you'll need to keep an eye on, all of these teams are not going to sign their second round picks for some reason. So you're going to have to just go through. Pretty much none of them have them. So you just need to do this real quick. You see how quickly this goes. I'm almost done already. Almost there, and there's Stanford. Okay, so there. All right, player options. There's not going to be anybody unless you forget to edit a contract. But usually once you've torched the guys overall, he'll drop. Qualifying offers, there should be... there's going to be because I did not edit contracts for guys. So... I'm not going to go through and do all of these right now, but yeah, these guys would have all been edited down to 50 overall. So you'll just need to make sure that they don't get, you'll just need to go through and do this. I'm not going to go through that. I'm just going to leave some qualifying offers be left out. So what I do here is I literally am just going to sim all the way through. Now I will renounce all the rights to these guys as well. So that's how I do that. Okay. And then once you get here, so if you're doing your own team and everybody else, what I like to do is I will sign one guy from I'll make a draft board before the draft, and any players left on that draft board, those are the only guys eligible for me to sign during this period. So since I'm not doing anything right now, what I'll just do is all free agent offers are off, by the way, right now, and you would want to leave it that way. Okay, this is going to go through a little like that. So many of these. This usually doesn't happen because if you go through and you eliminate all of these qualifying offers. Okay. Ignore player progression for now. Let's just go to the next season. Okay. Auto-generate rookies for now. We're not going to worry about that. Fix that. Oh, boy. So... I do have off-season or new season fill roster on. So what happens is once you've eliminated all of the new all the contract players who are expired that are seniors, or you've deleted all of the, or you've released all of the like going pro early players and whatnot, and you don't have an off-season signing period because nobody's going to make offers. I tried to leave that on during the off-season, but they would make offers to 50 overall players from their previous teams. I couldn't figure out a way to keep that from happening, so I just decided to leave it off completely and let the fill roster feature. So teams who have, like, say, 11 players on them will sign 3 guys before you get to the screen once you sim past the offseason. So now the last thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to edit players. Oh, one of the things, or contracts. One of the things you're going to need to want to probably do is you're going to want to edit ages for your draft classes. Now you can only get to 19, but it'll help you identify players a lot easier in the draft class if you edit them to the age, because then you'll be able to figure out, which guys are rookies or freshmen or whatever. If you don't do that, the easiest way I found to do it is to go to contract and look at bird years. So guys who show up with 0 bird years, that is a new player from, well, not this guy because he's actually signing. Let me do it this way. Here we go. See out of 0 bird years, he was just drafted right there. So 0 bird years, that'll be your guys. So edit them, make sure they're 18 years old. You can actually get to 18 years old. And what I'll do is I'll just make sure that they have 4-year contracts with no team options. That's the way that you can understand if they're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, whatever in the future. So I believe that'll be it. Took a little bit longer. I was hoping to try to keep this to 10 minutes, but that's okay. If you guys have any questions, drop some comments on this video. Drop a comment on Operation Sports. I'll be more likely to see comment on the video most likely than Operation Sports, but I'll try to check into the Operation Sports thread from time to time. And well, enjoy. I think this would be pretty fun. I'm excited to do a little series with the Loyola Ramblers. So in the meantime, between time, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'm out. Doses.